Hello, this is Trains of Thought with Ian Curry. My lifelong model railway hobby has been a source of inspiration, challenge, and yes, occasionally frustration. I thought it was about time I shared some of the fun I've had, the lessons I've learned, and the solutions I've discovered to age-old problems. Have you ever said if only and then added the thing that you think would get you out of trouble? If only I had a bigger house, one with a great big train room. If only I had more money, I could afford that lovely new 1938 tube unit from Bachmann. If only I could know my job was safe. If only this situation or that were over. Now, my journey with model railways has been just that. It's a journey, of course. Sometimes I would love to have the finished layout and be able to play with the trains more. But then, what would life be without a problem or two to solve? Now, I've found it important to include people in my hobby and to be involved in their hobbies too, even though this really does slow you down. The balance between the different aspects of our life is very important, isn't it? My wife loves to scour yard sales and second-hand stores, but I could just say, Hillary, you have your hobby, I have mine, off you go, enjoy yourself, see you later. But instead, I go along too, and you'd be amazed what we find in those places, even if it's just to be able to say, they don't make things like they used to. And although neither of us can remember where it came from, this treasure chest must have seemed like a good idea at the time. It's too small to be of any use in the real world, and since I always think in 4mm to the foot, it's way too big to be of any use there. I'm quite forgiving with scale being a little off here and there. HO and 00 are quite different, even though they run on the same track, but I'll get into that another day. But as an example, look at these miners. The guys in orange are 4mm 00, while the men in white are HO, so 3.5mm to the foot. But I can live with that. People, after all, are different and they come in different sizes and shapes. But the treasure chest, it's just not right. If you've been modelling any length of time in the UK, you'll know this street one way or the other. And there's our treasure chest. In fact, there's enough room in this treasure chest to house a couple of families and have room left over, even in one of those tiny homes. And that's actually not a bad idea, is it? To the model people, this box must seem like it's huge, and if it were full of treasure, it'd be worth a small fortune. Now, I happen to know there's a lump of gold in there and a couple of thousand in notes. Well, the notes are from a collection the boys used to have years ago. They're worth about 50 pence or something. And the gold is my wedding ring, so that's not worth a whole lot either. Although it's not about the value of the gold, it's about what it represents. And that's quite like the model railway, isn't it? So while the ring represents a commitment I made to Hillary long, long ago, it also represents all the things that we've been through, and the things we've been through together in the past, as well as those things that are going to come in the future. It's very precious and far more important than hobbies or even a job, actually. Now, I could work all the hours that God sends and pick up every overtime hour possible and neglect my hobby for a while, and perhaps my family. But would it be worth it? And we all know the answer if we stop long enough and think. And yet we sometimes still do it anyway, don't we? When we do go down the unbalanced work road or unbalanced hobby road even, there are situations that are going to come along and we'll hear ourselves saying, if only I'd spent more time with my family, or if only I'd spent more time with the people I love. And while I would love to have this layout much further along, I've also realized wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will also be. Do I invest in work, hobbies, or my family? And if I had stayed with the idea of filling up the treasure chest full to the brim and having all of that stuff, my wife and family would have been neglected. Do you see that not only my focus would have had to change, but my whole life purpose would as well? Getting the balance right is hard. We all really know what we should do, but sometimes we get things totally out of whack, don't we? Where is your treasure? Do you have the balance between work and family and hobbies just right? That's a very difficult one. Well, next time we'll look at another aspect of the layout and see what we can learn. Let me know what you think. But until next time, goodbye.